there, folks. Welcome to the channel. I'm glad you can make it because in today's episode, and I got to tell you, I am very excited about today's episode. We're going to be putting two extraordinary flavor enhancers against each other to see what happens. The first one is one that we're all pretty much familiar with. It is called monosodium glutamate, MSG. The brand here is Ajinomoto. And the second is a flavor enhancer known as SavorYe. Now, both of these products claim to do similar things. They both claim to enhance the flavor of your food. But when it comes to the ingredients and the process of how it's made, not even close. Let's look at MSG, for instance. MSG starts with a glucose liquid, generally from beets, could be from sugarcane. In this particular case, it says it's made from sugarcane, but it can also come from corn, molasses, and specific microbes are added to ferment that glucose liquid. When the microbes eat the sugar, they produce something called glutamic acid. That glutamic acid is then later neutralized by sodium. Once the sodium neutralizes the glutamic acid, the product is filtered, and then the crystals are dried, and the end result is a crystalline product known as MSG or monosodium glutamate. SavorYe, on the other hand, is made by fermenting brewer's yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. This is the same kind of yeast that you would use to make beer and wine and hard cider and your spirits and things like that. After fermentation, the yeast cells are heated up until they rupture, and once they rupture, the very enzymes from the cells break down the cell walls, and that's when all the goodness is released. I'm talking about proteins, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals. MSG is glutamic acid in an isolated form, where SavorYe, a little bit different, is a combination of proteins and lots of different amino acids, one of which is also glutamic acid. How do they affect the flavor of your food? Let's find out. Today we're going to be making very simple pork sausage patties, and my butcher gave me a bunch of trim, and the way he cut it is absolutely perfect for my grinder. We don't have to do anything to this meat. We are going to be adding some back fat, though. He also gave me however much back fat that is. We're going to be adding it to the tune of about 30%. Give it a quick chill. If you're new to sausage baking, before you grind it, you want the temperature to be between 32 and 34 degrees Fahrenheit to ensure that you don't smear the fat. Make sure your grinder plate and knife is sharpened up nicely. And this looks beautiful. Nice, clean grind, just the way I like it. Let's look at our spices. Now, we're going to be making 7 different versions of this sausage, and I'm going to kind of walk you through each one of them just so you see. This first row here, that's the control. Salt, pepper, and a little bit of water. The amount of salt and the amount of pepper that we're going to be adding in every sausage is going to be the exact same. That's not going to change. This section, right over here to the left, this is our SavorYe section. So we're going to make 3 sausage patties with this ingredient, SavorYe, and see how it turns out. This section on the right, well, that's our MSG section, and we're going to do the exact same. 3 patties with different quantities of MSG. So we're going to stack up SavorYe and MSG in this side-by-side test to see what happens. Our first test on both SavorYe and MSG, we're going to be using the recommended amount. Our second test, we're going to double the recommended amount. And then in our third test, we're going to triple the recommended amount. All right, so that's basically the setup. Let's take a look at our meat and see what we've got going on. From what we ground up, I made 7 patties that weighed a half a pound each, or 227 grams. The first will be the control. The top 3 will be flavored with SavorYe at 1, 2, and 3 times the dose, and then same with the MSG. All we're doing here, like I said, salt, pepper, and about 5% water, no binder, nothing like that. We're going to mix it until we get a nice tacky paste, at which point we're going to put it to the side. Let's do the other 6. Here we go. Now, I wish it only took me 18 seconds to do all that, but it did not. But we've got our samples ready to go. Here's our control. I'm loving the way everything looks at this point. What we're going to do is just get on the grill, cook up the sample, and then just, cook them one at a time. And notice if there's any difference. The first one up is the control. Now, just so you know, the temperature is going to stay constant through each one of the cooks. We're going to bring them to an internal of 150 degrees. This is SavorYe at 1x. Smells amazing. SavorYe at 2x. Now, clearly, there's some time between flipping, but I'm loving the Maillard reaction. SavorYe at 3x. All right. Very good.
Beautiful crust on that. All right, now let's do the MSG. Same thing. Recommended dose of MSG coming in. Also smells incredible. Beautiful looking patty right there. MSG at 2 times. And so far so good. Okay, and then finally, last patty. Monosodium glutamate at 3 times the recommended dose. Be interesting to see how it tastes. All right, there we go. Nice, juicy half-pound pork sausage burgers. Looks and smells amazing. This is what we got going on. Here's our control. Here at the top, we have our SavorYe patties. And then here at the bottom, we have the MSG patties. And if I had to just make one observation that I noticed while I was cooking, these all cooked at the exact same temperature for the exact same amount of time. We brought them all to an internal of 150. And what I noticed was as the amount of SavorYe increased in each one of those patties, so did the Maillard reaction. Notice the 3x over there on the top right. Definitely a lot more browning than the other ones. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates to flavor. All right, let's cut into the control and start the test.
All right, guys, here we go. Time for the control. Now remember, we only have salt and pepper in this, and the salt and pepper quantity will not change between any of the other samples. So we have 1.5% salt in all the samples, and we have 0.22% pepper. That's going to be the same. The only thing that's going to change is the amount of MSG and SavorYe in the ones that we're about to taste. Here's the control. Let's give it a taste. All right. Very good. Nice base level. Simply seasoned. The flavor of the pork shines through. Now, let's try the MSG. Here we go. Going in. MSG does what MSG does. I mean, it definitely enhances the flavor. Now, we added 0.55% or the equivalent of a half a teaspoon per pound of meat. Now let's try the SavorYe, and for the SavorYe, the first test is going to be at 0.7%. That's the recommended amount, or 1 teaspoon per pound. Here we go. Okay, what an interesting test to do them side by side. Over the control, both the MSG and the SavorYe have enhanced the flavor of the sausage by only their recommended amount, but they taste radically different. I mean, they're not even close. Let me just one more time with the MSG. Okay, little piece of the SavorYe. Wow, that's so interesting. I'm gonna be totally straight with you. The MSG is killing it. Umami flavor in your face. And so what we have here is we have 2 products that both enhance the flavor of food, but do it very differently. MSG, it's going to be over here, tends to be very bold, very pronounced, has a very unique and specific flavor. So you can almost know when someone uses MSG in food, and that's when they use it at the recommended amount. But it's going to elevate that flavor of food and give it a very umami forward flavor. Whereas the SavorYe will also enhance the flavor of your food, it's just going to be more subtle. It's going to bring more complex flavors. It's going to have you guessing as to what exactly you're eating, because all of these layers are going to start to bloom on your tongue as you eat a product that's been enhanced with SavorYe. All right, let's move on to the next test, where we cut into the MSG sausage that has double the recommended dose, 1.1% MSG, or 1 teaspoon per pound of meat. Here we go. Oh, okay. Interesting. All right, we'll save our thoughts on that while we taste the SavorYe version, which has double the recommended amount, 1.4%, or 2 teaspoons per pound of meat. Going in. Oh, wow. That's ridiculous. Woo! I had to put that down. Okay, wow. That's shocking. All right, let's start with the MSG. In sample number 1, which has the recommended amount at 0.55%, and sample number 2, which has double the amount at 1.1%, sample number 1 definitely tastes better. It is a bold, flavor-enhanced pork sausage that is high in umami, whereas sample number 2 it almost becomes counterproductive. It feels like you lose that high level umami. You still feel like it's enhanced, but now it's leaning a little more towards like a synthetic flavor, which is certainly not what I'm going for. Definitely a little saltier than round number one. I'm also getting this almost lingering MSG flavor in my mouth. If you've ever just eaten MSG by itself, that's kind of what I'm experiencing right now inside my mouth. And in my opinion, flavor-wise, we're kind of going backwards. Let's talk about the SavorYe. I'm going to give SavorYe one more bite because I have MSG all in my mouth right now. Hang on a minute. Let me just get some water. Okay, let's do SavorYe again. Okay, wow. That's not even close. This is where the game starts to change. Let's compare the SavorYe 1 and 2. SavorYe 2 had twice the amount, 1.4%. And unlike SavorYe 1, which was very subtle, it had complexity. You're kind of wondering what's going on in the background. The pork sausage tastes amazing. You're not really quite sure why. There's just a lot of things going on. SavorYe 2, all of those exact same things are happening, but they are now double. So this is actually doubling the amount of flavor. The Maillard reaction is more pronounced, so I'm definitely picking the elements of that flavor coming through. I'm getting the savory umami elements of it, the beefy, brothy, almost like meaty element is really coming through in the pork. It's not any saltier than round number one. And so when it comes to SavorYe, between round one and round two, if we use the recommended amount or double the recommended amount, we don't have a problem either way. Both of them are absolutely amazing. One is a little more subtle than the other, but I'm not picking up any synthetic flavors, no weird residual in my mouth after eating it. Absolutely amazing. Let's go on to round number three, the conclusion of our test. We're going to eat MSG at triple the recommended amount. That is going to be 1.65%. Going in. Okay. We're going to save our thoughts. Now let's do SavorYe, triple the recommended amount at 2.1%. Here we go. Wow. All right, let's start with MSG. And honestly, I'm not surprised about the results based off of what happened with round number two. In round number three, we tripled the dose, and I'm going to be completely honest, we're kind of going backwards in flavor. It's certainly not like round number one where we use the recommended amount. Round number three is actually bringing a very synthetic flavor to the pork sausage. I'm also picking up a slight bitterness and a metallic element in my mouth. Let me just one more bite here. Oh yeah. Mouth lingering with that very, very strong MSG residual. It's coating the mouth. Not very pleasant. And for me, that's one of the shortcomings of MSG. It's great for enhancing the flavor when you use it at the recommended amount, but the minute you overuse it, you can start to affect the flavor of your food negatively. SavorYe, triple the amount. Let me just give this one more taste while we're at it. Beautiful Maillard reaction on this one. This one actually produced more of a Maillard reaction than any of the other ones. And right off the bat, that's one of the first things that I'm tasting is that enhanced complexity from the Maillard reaction. Even between the, you can kind of look at this is round number three of MSG and round number three of the SavorYe. You can see that the Maillard reaction is definitely more pronounced on this one. And interestingly enough, this same Maillard reaction happens when you use SavorYe to season whatever you're cooking. Chicken, shrimp, seafood, fish, whatever. You're going to get that same level of Maillard, which is automatically going to be its own flavor enhancer. And as far as flavor goes, we're still climbing. I would say that we are triple the flavor than round number one. The only thing that I would say is that round number three, we're starting to hit a place where maybe it's very slightly beginning to taste a little salty. And so if I were to make a dish that had triple the dose of SavorYe because I really wanted to boost the flavor, I would just reduce the amount of salt. So normally I add 1.5% salt to whatever I'm making. If I'm going to add triple the SavorYe, I might add 1% salt and then let SavorYe kind of take it to the next place. MSG versus SavorYe. MSG, based off of today's experiment, certainly has its limitations. When you use it outside of the parameters that it's supposed to be used, you start to have diminishing results, so much so that it just may not make your food taste good at all. Whereas SavorYe, we are boosting our flavor every time we add more to it. Matter of fact, the most that we used today was 2.1% SavorYe, and that was in test number 3, but you could use up to 5%. Now, like I did say, at 2.1% or triple the recommended amount, it is starting to taste a little bit salty. So if you do go up to 5%, you could probably cut salt out altogether or just use a pinch of salt and your food would be absolutely amazing.
So when looking at these flavor enhancers, the MSG, no doubt about it, enhanced the flavor of the food. It brought a lot of umami, but it did so in a very linear way, in my opinion. There wasn't a whole lot of complexity outside of that. And that's when you used it at the recommended dose. The more you used, the more synthetic the food started to taste, and it brought on these elements of bitterness and metallic, which definitely took away from the overall eating experience. When it came to the SavorYe, I found that the initial dose was more enhanced, but more subtle. Unlike MSG, which tends to bring this sort of like punch of flavor to your food, the SavorYe didn't do that on the initial dose, which, if I had to be completely honest, I kind of like that. It felt more natural. That very simple salt and pepper sausage all of a sudden turned into something complex that I was trying to guess as to what those additional flavors were. The SavorYe bloomed on the tongue and brought these umami, beefy qualities, and that's because the SavorYe has more amino acids, unlike the MSG, which only has one, glutamic acid. So SavorYe is naturally going to just bring a different style of flavor enhancement to your food.
There you go, folks. We got 2 flavor enhancers on the chopping block: yeast extract, monosodium glutamate. You now know how I feel about each one of them, but don't take my word for it. I'll put a link in the description box below where you can pick up some SavorYe and some MSG for yourself if you'd like to do this exact same experiment at home. I'll be sure to put all the different percentages. And if you do, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I can tell you this, you will start seeing SavorYe in a lot of my upcoming recipes because I am loving what it's doing to the flavor of my food, and I know you will too. All right, folks, thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single one of our uploads. We got a quick update for those of you that are into making sausage, salami, who love the craft of charcuterie. We have officially begun filming for Celebrate Sausage Season 6, and it is going to be ridiculous. If you're not familiar with what Celebrate Sausage is, it's a series that we put together where in the month of October, we upload a brand new sausage making video every single day through the entire month. We've got some incredible recipes, some absolutely amazing guests, and we've got some pretty sweet giveaways. Be sure to stick around for more updates. Until then, we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. I think I prefer round number 2. Wow, that's great.